Good afternoon. Welcome to the September 29th meeting of the New York State Bridge Authority. I'm joined at the table by Commissioner Bain Lashua, Commissioner Roger Higgins, Deputy Executive Director Kara Sullivan, our counsel Chris Shale, Commissioner Richard Gerantine, what is your title? Director of Operations,
Sure.
John Belushi, our counsel, Gif Whitbeck, and our Executive Director, Joe Ruggiero. We're joined by with high technology by Commissioners Rod Dressel and Joe Ramaglia. So I think I've gathered all the formalities here. We've got a couple of committee meetings to start out with. The first meeting is going to be of the Bridge Authority's Governance Committee. So the chair is Mr. Vice Chair Gerantine, if you want to take over your committee, please.
Thank you, Chairman. We have a meeting today that we're going to adopt the minutes of the May 19, 2011 meeting.
Move to adopt the minutes.
Roger, second by Dan. Any discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have some information regarding revising our New York State Bridge Authority mission statement. We're just looking at that today.
We're actually going to move.
We're going to move it
If
late.
it's all right
okay.
with the committee can now move this to the board for its recommendation.
Okay. And we all have a copy of this. We had a copy.
We adopt the mission statement and send it to the board.
Second. Any discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Other items, anything you want to bring up at this time?
We're caught up on our list of pending items. The next thing will be the end of the year summary stuff.
All right. And on that authority with the mission statement, we're going to make a recommendation to the full board to act on it in today's meeting, correct? So moved.
So moved.
No other business? If not, a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, now we're having we're going to do this jointly, say, with the Audit and Finance?
Yes.
Okay. A joint committee meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee. So, Mr.
Bushhead.
Bushhead. Brian, it's easier to say Brian, it's here to discuss that with us. The first item on the agenda would be to adopt the minutes, I believe, of our last
Move we
meeting.
adopt the minutes of the March 17 meeting.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's for the audit committee, by the way. So those audit committee meetings are adopted. Are there any finance committee meeting minutes to adopt?
Yes.
Rod, you want to ask for a motion to adopt the finance committee minutes?
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the
I'll move
motion
it.
to accept?
I'll move it, Rod.
Okay. Joe? Second, Rich?
I move that Joe's got a second, I hope.
Joe second. Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay, so
Carried.
we've adopted the minutes for both the committee meetings from our last meeting, and now if Mr. Bashek can talk to us about the operating budget and bridge system net revenue.
Oh, hold on, Chairman. On the finance, are we going to go through all these items?
We're going to do both of them together
Oh,
because they're the
okay,
same
sorry.
items.
All right, very good.
I'll do it for you, Brian.
Okay.
Brian and the staff have prepared the operating budget for the New York State Bridge Authority for the next fiscal year. The budget does anticipate an increase in revenue of some 40% to meet our net revenue numbers in our capital plan. These are items requiring a total increase, and as such, this will bring the authority into compliance with its current bond resolutions and all the covenants thereof. As we've been discussing, we've done a pretty good job of holding on expenses up until now. We've gone 2 years longer than had originally anticipated under the current toll structure.
And that's 12 years now, is it?
Yes, at the end of this year, we've completed 12 years.
I think that's an impressive effort to hold the line for 12 years.
This will be the only third increase for a toll in the authority's history. And we are one of the, this toll increase is probably one of the longest under the toll structure that we currently have been any of the other authorities in the state. As you know, they're constantly seeking additional revenue. We haven't gone to the public very often, so this is where we are.
And effectively, the first item is the estimate, the final estimate for 2011 and the coming year 2012. Which
These
will
are
be
the projections and the revenues and expenditures.
projections of revenues expenditures for 11 and 12, and these are the two items that need to be sent to the board for approval because they're required under the bond resolution to be certified in the month of October.
Okay. So, would both committees take a vote on that, or would we do it as one joint?
They fall within the charter of both committees, so, I mean, it's really...
I would have each committee vote.
All right, for the audit committee, I will make a motion that we adopt the proposed, what's the budget? No, is it just the revenue projection?
It's operating budget and bridge system
Operating
net
budget.
revenues for 11 and 12.
Okay, I make a motion that we adopt the proposed operating budget. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the finance committee adoption and recommendation to the full board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Rod, you want to take over for the finance committee and make the same resolution?
Yes, okay. What about a bit of the minutes from the past meeting?
We adopted those already.
Sometime? I guess I missed it. Okay. All right. So, all right. Well, there's two very important. These are very important items for today's meeting that I think I know the committees are going to want to put forward to the board meeting later on for their approval, which Brian just alluded to. So, which one is the operating budget and the bridge systems revenue for 11 and 12?
Yes.
And there's a resolution. I think we have a resolution, so we're going to recommend that to the board and aggressively ask them for their approval and for the record. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Rob.
Second.
Okay. Second. Okay. All in favor? We're saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The next one is the budget and the financial plan. Another very important. It's required for us to file. Are there any questions or discussion about that? Brian, did you want to add anything to either one of these?
Only that the next item is the 2012 through 2015, and it's required that we give the public 30 days notice of inspection before the board meeting. Effectively, we will go and have the committees adopt them, recommend them to the board, and then we'll distribute them to the 5 bridges for public inspection and also put them on the website. And because of the timing of this meeting, we will adopt them at the full board in the November meeting.
The only thing I would like to add about that is the capital improvement plan that's part of the budget and financial plan. It's a $160 million capital plan over the next 5 years. The largest of that budget is the $100 million proposed budget project for the Newburgh Beacon redecking of the south span. And that is the thing that is largely driving the proposed total increase.
And I would just say that aside from being much needed to maintain the condition of that bridge, that could be an economic boost for the Hudson Valley. That's quite an investment.
So move, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Is there a second? Rich?
I'll move it. And second it.
Yep. Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. We will recommend it to the board later on. Okay. Is there any other business? If not, entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
I thought that vote was on the board.
That was
on the budget
and the financial plan.
Oh,
Budget.
Sorry.
One more vote.
Okay.
okay.
All right, so they're adjourned.
So they're adjourned. Now the finance or
Yeah,
the
we're
audit
adjourned.
committee should also adopt the five-year financial plan. So if there's a motion on that, a recommendation to the full board, I'll make such a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any further business of the audit committee?
Yes, I'm sorry, the contract for independent accountant services.
Oh, that's right. We've got proposal here for, is it the annual audit? with
Yes.
Tosca? Now, we had previously recommended them to continue because went to bid and we got the proposal.
We went out last year because of the exit of the internal auditor, which was Barry Mickle. We had went in an interim basis. We had reached out to them to support that vacancy, if you will. However, periodically over the last time we went out was about 5 years ago, we go out to renew the contract. Okay, we put out an RFP. We received back 5 bids. They came in tied for the lowest price, but because theirs was a static price over time and has remained such for the last 5 years, we had chosen them.
Yeah, what I'm remembering is I looked this all over 2 weeks ago when we were here, right? So for the audit committee to propose a continuation of using the outside accounting firm of Tosca Schaefer, is there a motion to approve that from the finance committee? The
Audit committee.
Oh, the audit committee, I'm sorry. Vane or Roger, do you?
So moved.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Audit committee then is ready to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're ready to go into the full board meeting. Do we want to have anything to go straight into it?
Sure. If the board wants to go into attorney-client.
Do we need to have any attorney-client? We're ready to go? I
Nope.
know a couple of people are in a hurry, so have other obligations. So I move that we now formally enter the regular board meeting. We've had audit, finance, and governance committee meetings. We're ready now to take up the regular business of the board meeting. This meeting was adjourned from the regular meeting date of the 15th. It's now September 29th. And the first item on our agenda is well, I guess we have to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
On favor?
Second.
Aye.
All right. I guess we're into administration now.
Good afternoon.
You want to do that first thing? All right, the real business at hand today is dealing with the budget. So if we can skip down right now under 3 financial and change the seating again for you guys. Now, what we were just discussing in our committee meetings is this proposed budget for the new year. We are required to file a budget by the end of this month. We've proposed a total increase to meet our obligations and to proceed with our capital projects. And is there any discussion now about the budget?
We sent out to you, a memo concerning, the procedures to follow, and indicating to you basically the first step is the approval of the budget, which needs to be filed very shortly. It's filed on October the 1st, and then that starts a procedure that follows through for a total increase to meet that budget. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions about that. I've given you an opinion concerning your fiduciary responsibilities as members of the board to the authority. I think that the memo speaks for itself, but again, I'd be happy to discuss that with any of you if you have questions. Otherwise, I think...
No, it was an excellent memo, Carl, that explained it all out and explained how serious a situation this is, that this budget get approved at this meeting.
I also just want to bring to light the fact that in this section there are 2 resolutions to be adopted, one being the budget, the other being the certification of net revenues.
Right, so these are the same 2 things that the committee's just voted on. There's 2 separate things. The report of the net revenues and the budget is the document that gets filed. And, if you're ready to vote, I don't need to say anymore.
Is there any discussion of the other commissioners about this issue? I know we've been talking about it for months and months. Is there any other discussion? just want to
No,
say,
other than that, we'll default on the bonds if we don't move forward without fiduciary responsibility, and I'm sure the governor and their office does not want that, and they're busy with other stuff. I think we should move forward.
I also think it's important for us to remember that part of the new public authorities law, we have a responsibility as individuals to act in the best interest of the authority of which we are commissioners. And I believe that we're all prepared to do that. And it's not without consideration of the fact that some people are going to be unhappy with any kind of toll increase at a time of not economic prosperity necessarily. But part of what fuels the economy of this valley is the connections back and forth from the east and west side of the Hudson, and it's our responsibility to keep those connections in operation. And I think that this process with this budget's important for us to meet that obligation.
So not just for today, but for the ongoing nature of our responsibility as the Bridge Authority. I think it's based on our position relative to other authorities. It's really a wonderful extension of our mission. Blah, blah, blah. Just I think it's something that's goes without saying.
Okay, I
When
think
you look at the impact, the impact on the average person in the Hudson Valley, people who use these bridges, it's going to be a very small amount of money to the average person who crosses the rivers periodically, and it's the commercial vehicles that are going to be paying the shot. So the impact on the average citizen is very small in their year's budget.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. It's a very modest toll increase, and it is a fiduciary liability and a responsibility that we have. So I move it that we go forward.
Second.
we've had a motion moved and seconded to proceed. I guess the first thing, do we need to do the investment report first, or does it matter the order?
I don't think it matters.
Okay,
The rest is on
the
the budget.
the
This is the
budget
budget.
itself was the motion, so.
Just, Chairman, before you proceed, I mean, I agree with everything everybody has said, but one thing let's not forget is that we have some extra expenses this upcoming year. We took over the walkway. There were some expenses that we were not aware of. I don't think anyone's really aware of. We're going to have to incur those expenses, and some of those expenses are going to be very steep. So, I mean, that's part of, this operating budget itself. So just keep that in mind when we're voting, too.
That's true.
Good point, Rich.
That's, there are expenses related with the walkway bridge and no revenues associated with it, so that falls right into our obligations that we're trying to meet here. So, all those commissioners in favor of adopting the proposed budget, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. We now need a motion to adopt the, what was your
Net revenue.
Bridge system net revenues 2011, 2012.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so the hardest part of our work today is done. So, now, if we want to, is there anything else under that, or should we proceed up to the top of the agenda and take
Want to do
a...
the rest
Yeah,
of
we
it?
have the investment
Okay.
report. Why don't we take?
You want to finish mine?
Right.
Sure. Okay, very good.
Oh, we've also got the recommendation now for the audit company.
I have several other items, so if
Earlier, we discussed continuing with Toski Schaefer as our outside auditing firm. They've been working with us, and they came in with one of the low bids. And if there's a motion to continue with that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, and then we have another item on here concerning the workers' compensation renewal.
yes.
Brian?
Okay, sorry, bear with me. Okay, we utilize the state insurance fund, which offers us a steep discount In the past, we have even stopped seeking RFPs because no one will quote us a bid. Okay? This year, it came in a bit higher than we expected because of rate increases. Ultimately, the final rates and audit for salaries will be adjusted with an audit that happens annually. We believe, based on discussions with our broker that we utilize for this, as well as a discussion with the broker that we utilize for other insurances, that we're not going to see any better deal than the state insurance fund, because they're providing us with the 35% upfront discount that is almost unheard of.
How will the rates, how much of an increase are we looking at?
Substantial.
It's substantial. We went from 183, a rise of $79,000 to about 262.
When we were developing the budget and we were working with the governor's office and the division budget and they were reviewing our budget and our proposed total increases, and we were looking at all the expenses, we were going back and forth, and they wanted to see what we were doing. They were able to vet through the numbers, and we showed them things like the workers' comp being increased to $100,000, the charge back from the state, $390. All these things hit the budget. So this was another item putting pressure on the operating budget. Brian's work actually, the number came in, was almost a $100,000 increase.
Roughly 100.
So he's been working with workers' comp, trying to clarify some of the issues, and got it reduced down to only having a $78,000 increase, which is still substantial.
Is there a motion to proceed with the resolution on the workers' comp? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
One more item, the investment report. I haven't
Yep.
done one in a couple months. There are 2 months of investment reports here, not to belabor the point. Effectively, there were 4 investments in the month of July, continued fairly low yields. In debt service, 2 in the maintenance reserve and 1 from the revenue fund. The investment inventory for July just reflects those changes, more or less fairly consistent with prior months. In August, I did want to go and make note of something. If you look in August, there were fewer investments. The rationale for this is we've been informed, or actually have learned, that the market for treasuries is now so bad that we can't invest in any treasury with a yield or the maturity lower than 3 months and earn a positive yield. As a result, we're leaving more money in cash, and you'll notice on the bottom of this sheet, I've now started to include that. Because I need the money in the maintenance reserve fund sooner than 90 days, for us, our only option is cash. At the end of the month of August, I have $2 million sitting in cash.
So
Okay.
are the banks increasing their collateral for our increased deposits?
For this particular one, because it's in Bank of New York, sitting in a cash account there, it's not a required increase of
Right,
deposit.
okay.
It's only if it sits in the Bank of America.
Right.
I had heard recently that for very short-term deposits, the banks are actually starting to charge.
My understanding is Bank of New York was actually trying to do that on some of the larger corporate clients. They have not given us that notification that they were looking to do it.
So,
And yeah, the rationale is that so many people are now doing exactly what we're doing, which is leaving money in cash because you can't earn a positive yield on a short term.
okay. Is there a motion to accept the investment report?
So moved.
Second?
Very good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, we do have we have a quorum. I don't know whether you want to.
Mr. Chairman,
We don't need Mr. Ramay and.
Francis,
Yes.
I got to excuse myself. I have other business. Wanted to be involved in the budget vote, and I have to go.
Thank you for your time, Joe. Appreciate it and your efforts.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, Joe.
How about you, Rod? Are you,
I'm all set. We're rained out here. Everything's slowing down here right now, so this is fine.
This is fun.
okay. Is there, I guess now we proceed towards the top of the agenda here. So we're dealing with administrative issues first. So,
Okay.
Why don't we, Jen, maybe you could reflect in the minutes that Mr. Okay, good.
Okay. The first item under administration, the New York State Office of General Services has issued, recently awarded new 2-year contracts for fuel purchases, for fuel oil, heating fuel, unleaded gasoline, and diesel fuel. And as the authority has done in the past, we typically adopt the use of those contracts for our needs over that period because we enjoy the volume discount that the statewide requirements enable us under the contract. So they award regional awards to various vendors based on what counties you're in, and my memo indicates for the three fuel types there the various vendors and associated bridge locations that would be utilized. And so you have a resolution before you to adopt those OGS contracts for the period out to 2013.
And this resolution is all encompassing. It covers different vendors for different types of fuel at different locations.
Right.
Move the resolution.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. I just also want to mention for the record that Bob Russo's here handling this part of the agenda for us. Thank you.
Okay. The second item there is an amendment to the Easy Pass Interagency Group operating agreement. At a recent meeting of the executive committee, of which I'm a member, we voted to add an amendment identified as amendment number 7 to the operating agreement. And effectively what it does is it modifies our veto threshold for expenditures. Currently, each of the 23 agencies has a unilateral veto over expenditures that have an effect on the individual agency of $10,000 or $10,000 or more. And there was a request made at one of those meetings to increase that. And actually, we were the agency that's kind of restricted that. The other agencies are much bigger and are willing to have a higher threshold for that veto. So I offered to increase it up to $15,000, which kind of mirrors our own procurement guidelines. Effectively, our executive director can authorize procurements up to $15,000. Over that, we have to bring them back to you, to the board. And so that was, the suggestion I had made. That's what the group had voted on. And because it is a change to the operating agreement, that in and of itself requires that you, authorize it by resolution, authorize a change to the agreement. And so that's the resolution that's before you.
So what we're saying is that the IAG can act without prior approval on expenditures up to a certain amount.
Yes, it can act as an organization. As a committee member, I can weigh in on that. But to unilaterally vote against something or to veto something, this would raise that threshold.
Is there a motion on the
Resolution.
resolution? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the last item I have under administration is in accordance with the authority's travel guidelines, I'm requesting authorization for one overnight travel to the next Easy Pass Interagency Group Executive Committee meeting, which will be held at its offices in Wilmington, Delaware on the 13th of October. So I'd like to be able
Is there a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Engineering and maintenance.
Okay, back to the nuts and bolts. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You had a chance to review all this information 2 weeks ago. There isn't anything that's changed since then, but the first item is our emergency repairs to the walkway. We have a contract in place with INOA Slutsky to perform bridge and highway emergency and routine maintenance on our facilities. So we'd like to extend that assignment to the walkway over the Hudson and address the relatively low resistance the structure has to winds 80 mile an hour and above. So what we have assessed from the inspection reports and the analysis that we got from cells is that about $1.2 million worth of work would bring the structure up to 100 mile an hour capacity, and then we would look to further strengthen the bridge up to the current bridge design standards, consistent with the rest of our system over a non-emergency schedule. So this work would all be involved to strengthen the bridge to the original design load that the bridge carried when it opened in 1888. Go ahead.
Would it be worth considering some sort of a media release? Bridge Authority invest $1.2 million in Walkway? Okay, thank you.
And this work has already commenced, correct?
We got about 100 anchor bolts in
We identified
place,
the
yep.
urgency of the situation
Correct.
and the recent weather.
We discussed it, I guess, Joe talked.
We actually even offered to the mayor of the city of Poughkeepsie an opportunity to go talk to that neighborhood that was directly affected by the evacuation. We were willing to hold a neighborhood meeting with the mayor to discuss the status of the work going on in their neighborhood, so they were reassured the Bridge Authority was doing everything appropriate. He was going to get back to me on that. We're working with the community.
So there's a resolution before us authorizing the emergency repairs to the walkway over the Hudson. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
you.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you. The second item is the design of those repairs. Similarly, we have in place a contract with WSP Cells to do this initial analysis. So we asked them to prepare a proposal for extra work to design the strengthening repairs. George and I have reviewed that and feel it's reasonable at a cost of $266,340. So this would just be a additional assignment under their existing contract.
And is this, their part of this is done now, or is this covering both the first portion, the emergency repairs and the ongoing repairs? Is this?
Right, this would be the next phase to
Oh, this is the
design,
next phase.
to design the repairs needed, and they're
For the 100
about
mile
halfway.
per hour.
Correct, just for the emergency.
Right.
Right, so they've,
There was two parts of the contract, which was the study that said, oh my God, you had a problem, and now this is how we fix the problem.
so they've already finished some of this work.
They're under,
Yes.
right. They're doing a design, releasing it, they're working, so they're kind of a little bit ahead of the construction crew.
As fast as we can
They're
go.
doing the design as fast as we can do the repairs.
Right.
What's the status of the elevator? Is that impacted by our work?
As I
I mean, we have nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with it. We understand that's in, the bowels of the Parks Department and DOT.
Gotcha.
But, well, you might see something next spring, that's the earliest.
We
you
were
would
even
see.
actually told it would even be later now, right? We were at the recent meeting.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Is that a state-funded project, or is that a walkway-funded
It's
project?
a
or-
stimulus money project, which is with DOT, so it now is state money.
Okay.
So is there a motion on
So
the
moved.
resolution for the engineering?
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion adopted.
And none of it's our money.
Correct. I was just
Did I
trying-
mention that our engineer, Bill Moreau, is the expert briefing us on this section of the agenda?
Thank you.
Not only you're an engineer, you play one on TV.
Our third item today was the 2011 to 2016 capital program. So you've seen this as part of your budget in the last two discussions. This does include all the work that we foresee on the walkway, as well as, of course, the balance of our system. It's developed in accordance with our general consultant, after their detailed biennial and routine inspections of our structures. So this gets updated annually, as you probably remember. So this is our best guess at our needs for the next 5 years across our system at $158,569,000.
The deck that's being replaced in Newburgh, what's the lifespan? How long has that deck been on there?
It was open to traffic in 1980, so it's just 31 years now, and we figure it's a 3-year construction program in which you have to drive on the piece that you left in place, so you really don't want the deck to be completely crumbling when you try to
The
fix it
expected
in
lifespan
traffic.
was what, 30 years?
35, so, some of it will be 35. The last piece will be 35 years old right before we take it out. Next year we'll be in design and the bid stage, and then hopefully begin construction in 13 and finish in 15.
And the other span at Newburgh?
That had a new deck replaced, that opened in 1963, had its deck replaced between 1980 and 84, so that that deck is 4 years younger. And we expect to get about 35, 36 years out of that.
So about the time we're finishing all this project. we'll be
Right.
putting it in the-
That's exactly right. Your 20-year capital plan has that designated, and this total increase that we've anticipated and hopefully getting approved will have a lifespan of probably about 5 years, unlike the previous one, which had a total structure of a lifespan of 10. So because of the nature of the capital
Hey,
expenses
Dad.
that are going to be coming through over the next 5, 10, 15 years,
over my house.
we're
I
going to see
forgot to
these
get
things
charged.
coming.
Is there a, do we have to adopt a resolution? Yes.
Yep.
There's a resolution on the 5-year capital plan. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Motion's adopted.
Right.
Then I just
See,
had-
it's plugged in on the right side of
Jobs
my
in
desk.
progress for this month. We did complete the blasting operations down at Newburgh. We still have to paint the last section, but we are struggling with the weather, but we are remaining on schedule with that. I
When
guess
do you expect that to complete? Is that going on? all-
Thanksgiving, yeah, it'll wrap up this season. That was a 2-year assignment. That's about a third of the overall length of the bridge has been completely lead abated and repainted, so we have more work to do there when we can afford to get back to that.
So this is going to carry over into next season?
We're trying to dovetail it around the deck replacement schedule, depending on how that develops in the next year. So we'll either be decking or repainting. We probably won't do both. We won't affect both structures at the same time.
Well, we didn't have the money to do it.
Right.
Is
Then,
there, or do we have a, yeah, we have a resolution?
Yeah, there's a resolution for the jobs in progress. I just wanted to mention, we also had some damage from the storm Irene, and there's an embankment out here that held our fiber optic cable in place that was washed away, so we awarded a additional work assignment to the contractor that installed that original fiber optic work, because he's now working for us at Kingston and Rip on the camera project with Greg's port security grant. So we're getting that addressed, and
Did that affect the service, or?
actually, amazingly, the fiber, works underwater and in distorted positions, so it never remained in service throughout the incident.
The fiber kind of helped to keep the embankment up, right?
Right.
It's hanging off of. Is there a motion to accept the jobs in progress resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Moreau. We've taken care of financial, human resources. Mr. Pizzuto.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be short today. I'm asking to have an additional 2 people attend the conference with me, Commissioner Lashway and Gina Basile. You've already approved my mine, and there certainly is enough information in the seminar for Gina and I to both go over independently, and the Commissioner would also like to attend.
Very good. I move the resolution authorizing more attendance. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor,
Second.
say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, give us a report when you return.
We'll have to recuse your side.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Information technology, Mr. Hurd.
Good afternoon. I just have 2 items today. The first is the Port Security Monthly Progress Report. We had expenses of $37,411 for this month, leaving a balance of $307,000 for the remainder of the project. That's advisory only. There is no resolution attached. Jobs in progress. Omni-Air marches on. Completion is expected mid-September. This had been written, assuming the board meeting was 2 weeks ago. They are in the process of wrapping up testing, and we're hoping they'll be done shortly. UPS battery maintenance is complete at all facilities. The touchscreens have been received, and some have been deployed at this point. They're in the process of prepping the remainders. These are the screens in each of the lanes at the bridges. And that will hopefully be done within the next 30 days.
And these screens are going to allow self-service? Is that-
No, these are the actual collector screens where they do the transactions.
Oh, it's for
now.
the
For the
Toll
collectors,
collectors.
right. And well, we brought this forward because the screens that we had been using, the manufacturer stopped producing, did not have a comparable replacement. They also announced end of life as far as service goes on them. So we were pressed to find a replacement that would work with our system.
Okay. Is there a, complete with this? Is there a motion on the resolutions for the jobs in progress?
Some of them.
I have a resolution, and yeah, just let it be read.
Motion made, seconded. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Operations. We have a renewal of our contract.
Yes, first item is to renew our contract with CAPS Traffic Com. They provide the equipment, the antennas, the EasyPass readers to process the EasyPass transactions in our toll lanes. CAPS recently purchased Mark IV. You may have heard Mark IV before. They were the company that we initially bought the equipment from. So CAPS provides maintenance. They come here once a month to ensure peak performance of the equipment, and we're just looking to renew that contract for another year at a cost of $23,653.
Move the resolution.
Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is, in October of 2010, through an RFP that we issued, we awarded a 3-year contract to Traffic Technologies for maintenance of our toll systems computers. That's the computers in the toll plaza and our central computer that they report to. This would be the second year of that contract. We'd like to renew it at a cost of $18,480.
Motion on the resolution? Second. All in favor, aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Third is our second quarter bill for EasyPass expenses from the New York State Thruway Authority. A couple pages in, there's a little chart. You see that for the second quarter, we processed a little over 4.1 million transactions at a cost of 17.3 cents each. The bill's pretty straightforward, in line with previous invoices that we received from the Thruway Authority.
Is this, well, I guess.
I move we pay the throughway.
I guess.
Sorry?
One second. I guess looking for a ray of sunshine with our with our traffic down. This has probably decreased slightly.
Actually, the number of EasyPass transactions is up slightly.
Oh.
We've had a few more people convert over to EasyPass.
We're paying more for less. Although actually, we're paying more for more transactions that are more efficient for us.
Right, we're paying more for more.
And this should actually go up because part of our toll structure is a discount for using the EasyPass. So we're trying to encourage more people to do this. So, is there a motion on the resolution? I think Rod Dressel made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Okay. Lastly, I'd like to attend the IBTTA Facilities Management Workshop. That's to be held near the end of October for 3 days in Nashville, Tennessee. I put down here a couple of topics to be discussed: our emergency management, traffic management, center operations. This will coincide with our new command center, which we are beginning to staff and will be hopefully operating by the first of the year.
Is there a motion on the resolution?
I
Second.
move that Wayne go to the Nashville, Tennessee to the IBTTA meeting.
Okay, we had a motion by Vane, seconded by Rod. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Motion's approved. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson.
Thank you.
And reports to the board. We had a monthly activity report, which, as I mentioned, continues to show the traffic overall is down slightly, attributable to the economy, likely. And do we want to discuss our actions regarding hurricane? I see a briefing on Hurricane Irene on here. You want to just mention what our activities were with the crisis?
The Hurricane Irene actually became a real textbook model, if you would, for emergency preparedness, and I would really like to commend the entire staff As the situation started to unfold, especially in light of what we learned about the walkway over the Hudson Bridge conditions, in light of they couldn't withstand 80-mile-per-hour winds, and the briefings we were getting from Albany that they were expecting at that time to see gale force winds, the hurricane of 100 miles per hour as far north as Newburgh. The threat was very imminent. So the command center was baptized, if you will, during Hurricane Irene, and we staffed NYSBA on a 24/7 basis in the command center throughout the weekend with all hands on deck from every department to make sure we had all our support services to carry out whatever we needed to do over those days. And it was good. And we were joined by Commissioner Lashua, who took the night shift from Saturday and stayed through all of Sunday and until Sunday afternoon. So we gave the commissioner a round of applause for being Employee of the Month back in August. He didn't earn a lot of overtime pay per se, but he did put the hours in. But it was a real good exercise. Everyone really came together, and I commend our staff. They really made a shine. We actually had representatives from the governor's office that were in the command center all weekend as a local place for them to work out of, to deal with the county executives and the local elected officials, and they were impressed by our facility. So it really showed its potential, and was appreciative of all everyone's efforts. A lot of folks canceled their vacations to be here, so it was a good effort. I was really proud of it.
We were all briefed on the activities of the professional staff here, all the staff, and I just want to echo the executive director's comments. I think they allowed us to shine in all their efforts, and it's credit to. There's a lot of criticism of government at all levels, and when the government actually works well, I think somebody's got to pat us on the back, so we should pat ourselves on the back for a good job on that. Any other comment on the whole Hurricane Irene experience for everyone? I think the worst of the flooding was a little north of here, but so.
Well, just being present there was I have to say it was a lot of fun. Just to watch people working, and as it turned out, it was very relaxed. As a matter, as the weekend wore on, we got better and better news all the time, and we're able to monitor. I was impressed with the way that we could monitor the weather, monitor the bridges, monitor the traffic. It was just it was really impressive, and especially some of the views of the walkway were interesting because it didn't move,
which was a good thing. At one point, the basement in the administration building flooded, and Commissioner Lashua helped bail buckets with Bill Moreau and Craig Gardner. So he was very.
We worked out a green drainage solution too.
There was a rumor going around that the staff had requested that the executive director be stationed on the walkway during the storm.
Yes, it was unanimous.
That turns out to have been a false rumor. So, we're done with that. Under new business, we have a couple of items here. There's a contract extension for our Council for Government Affairs.
Yep. This is for
our
Wilson Elser.
representative
Yes.
is Mr. Jennings, who's a partner in this firm.
And he represented us very well. We recently saw a very successful veto of a piece of legislation that would have been harmful to the Bridge Authority. There was a bill that went through both houses that was passed unanimously to prohibit advertising by state agencies, selling of advertisement through mailings and other things. And it was so broadly written that it could have been interpreted that our advertising program would have been outlawed. But we worked with the governor, and we sent a letter on behalf of the authority, and Mr. Jennings carried that message, and it was effectively vetoed. So we give him the credit, whether it...
I'm sure his main concern was the impact on the Bridge Authority.
Yes,
so, he was. He brings up, this is another effort that this agency's undertaken to try to raise revenues in ways other than the tolls, with somewhat innovative in New York State, the selling of the advertisement, and that seems to be progressing. Is there a motion on the resolution to extend the contract?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Not showing on your agenda, but as a result of the act of the Governance Committee earlier today, we had presented to us an update of our mission statement, for which we have all seen here for the last few weeks, and this was approved and recommended by the Governance Committee to the full board. If there's a motion, we can go ahead and adopt that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have a mission statement. We've always had a mission, and we have a good mission statement. Under old business, we have the MWBE Master Goal Plan submission package, which
Bob and Tara have been working on it. Tara just went to a meeting on behalf of the authority on Monday down in New York with the governor's office on the larger MWB goals, and this is our plan that they've compiled, and we would ask for it to be adopted because it's one of the requirements that we have to meet to satisfy this. Do you guys want to talk about the goal plan?
Well, the goal plan is something that we've had in place. We had first adopted it back in 1989, and periodically the Department of Economic Development, usually with administrative changes at the department, will ask for a revision of the entire master goal plan. Annually, we provide an update to that goal plan, revising our goals and informing them of any new initiatives and so forth. But this year was one of the years that they asked for a full, review and readoption of the plan, and it was presented to you on your agenda back in April, and it was tabled at that point because I think just before the board meeting we were advised of additional guidance that was coming out in response to questions that various agencies were asking about the process of the goal plan, and so we tabled it, and we waited for that additional guidance. And when it came, Tara and I reviewed it, and we felt that there were really no new material issues that had arisen since the initial guidance that came out, the initial template that they had sent us. And so basically, you're being presented with the master goal plan as it was revised back in April, to adopt and to forward on to economic development for them to have on file as our as our continuing goal plan. I don't know if Tara, you want to add anything about initiatives. We've done quite a lot since last October, especially with Tara here, to kind of shore up our in-house initiatives and our outreach to the minority and women-owned business community, and maybe Tara, you just want to highlight a couple of things that we've done.
We, the governor in Article 15A has asked all state agencies and authorities to utilize minority and women businesses up to 20%. And we use about 5%. So Joe has put forward an initiative that I'm working on to put together a regional MWBE task force with all of the agencies doing business in the Hudson Valley so that we can collaborate when we put out contracts, and also flesh out all of the appropriate and relevant minority and women-owned businesses in the area that we can do outreach to. Chris Kelly now puts our RFPs out on Facebook and Twitter. We are diligently looking at all of the latest, greatest lists that both the Dormitory Authority and the Economic Development Corporation publish, and we put together those lists and do direct outreach to the minority and women-owned businesses in the Hudson Valley. So as we think of and hear of and share information with our other state agencies and authorities in the Valley, we implement all initiatives possible to boost our percentage.
And the theory behind the Twitter and the Facebook is that many of the minority and women-owned businesses are smaller firms that may not be
and
tapped
much more
into
accessible.
the established
Sure. And it's
bidding
more
process.
viral, just gets out there more.
Is this, should we be adopting this plan, or is this our,
Yes.
we do a resolution to adopt it?
Yes.
Is there a motion on the MWBE
Adopt the
goals?
plan.
Is there a second? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any
All
opposed?
right.
One other thing here, I don't think, you mentioned that we have the executive director's monthly report.
My expense report, I have no expenses this month. I'm very cheap.
Or less.
I also just, is there any other business of the regular meeting before we adjourn?
The other minutes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You see, you have to remind me more frequently than once, 2 minutes ago. We adopted previously the minutes of our abbreviated September 15th meeting. Now we need to adopt the resolution adopting the minutes of our August minutes.
So move.
Is there a second? Before we adjourn, I just want to thank Commissioner Dressel for joining us. The passing of Ethel Dressel this week, I'm sure, is a great loss to his family, and I think it shows his commitment to public service that he made the effort to join us here today. And our thoughts and prayers are with you, Rod.
Here, here.
Thank you very much. I very appreciate it.
If there's a motion to adjourn this meeting,
So moved.
second, all in favor? Meeting adjourned.
All right.